Michael John Mentzer, a name that resonates with both reverence and controversy in the halls of bodybuilding history. A man who defied convention, pushed the limits of human potential, and challenged the very philosophy of muscle building itself. He was hailed as a bodybuilding genius, the first man in IFBB history to achieve a perfect score of 300, and the visionary behind the revolutionary heavy-duty training system that continues to spark debate and inspire lifters to this very day. But Mike Mentzer was as enigmatic as he was brilliant. He was known for going against the grain for his disdain towards the IFBB after a loss that he felt derailed his career, marking the beginning of a profound personal downfall. It seemed like Mike and his younger brother Ray Mentzer had won the genetic lottery, destined for unparalleled greatness. Yet life was anything but easy for the Mentzer brothers. Both died tragically young, in their mid to late 40s. Ray suffered from a rare and debilitating kidney disorder, while Mike battled drug addiction for many years, a journey that led him from bodybuilding superstardom to being institutionalized, arrested, and, for a time, written off as crazy by those who were once peers, friends, and associates. This is Mike Mentzer's story, a saga of dedication, intellect, tragedy, and ultimately redemption. Our story begins not in the glistening gyms of California, but in the gritty streets of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where Michael John Mentzer was born on November 15, 1951. His early life in Germantown, a melting pot of German and Italian heritage, offered little hint of the titan he would become. Mike was a top student, known for receiving all A's throughout grammar and high school. He credited his 11th grade teacher, Elizabeth Schaub, for instilling in him a love of language, thought, and writing, a passion that would profoundly shape his future. His initial ambition, surprisingly, was to become a psychiatrist, a path he even pursued at the University of Maryland as a pre-med student, spending his hours away from the gym studying genetics, physical chemistry, and organic chemistry. But the world of academia was not his first true calling. That came, as so many legends often do, almost by accident. Mike himself recounted how he was at a drugstore with his mother in his hometown of Ephrata, Pennsylvania, looking over magazines, when his attention was suddenly arrested by the sight of a muscle man. He knew instantly, with no lag time, that this was what he was going to be fascinated by. He asked his mother to buy the magazine, then ran home to devour it. Later that year, his dad bought him his first set of weights as a Christmas present. He spent the entire holiday lifting in his basement, and impressed by his commitment, his father then connected him with John Myers, a powerlifter who invited Mike to train in his highly equipped garage gym. Myers and his Olympic lifter partner encouraged Mike to train hard, fostering in him an early appreciation for strength, leading him to consider himself not just a bodybuilder, but a strength athlete as well. Mentzer's early influences extended far beyond his local gym. Growing up in Pennsylvania, he was close to York, often called Muscletown, home to Bob Hoffman, the father of American weightlifting. Young Mike would frequently visit to watch the nation's and world's best Olympic lifters, powerlifters, and bodybuilders train. It was during one such visit in 1965 that 13-year-old Mike was taken to New York to witness the very first Mr. Olympia contest. There, he met Dave Draper and Larry Scott, who would win the title that night and the year after. Mike described the 1965 Mr. Olympia contest as almost a religious experience for him. That exact moment sealed his mind. One day, he would become Mr. Olympia. Upon returning home, he meticulously planned his future career on the inside cover of a muscle magazine. Mike Mentzer America 1972, Mike Mentzer Universe 1974, Mike Mentzer Olympia 1976. While his dates and predictions were slightly off, this list highlights Mike's audacious ambition from a remarkably young age. Mentzer started competing at age 18, winning his first contests like Mr. Lancaster County and Mr. Pennsylvania in 1969 and 1970, respectively. In June 1970, he enlisted in the Air Force. It was there, at the 1971 Mr. America contest, that a pivotal encounter took place. Mike finished a disappointing 10th, his worst defeat, but another 19-year-old, the sensational Casey Viator, made history by becoming the event's youngest ever winner by a handsome margin. Casey, a protege of the eccentric inventor Arthur Jones, mastermind behind Nautilus machines and pioneer of high-intensity training, saw something in Mike. He approached Mentzer, told him he had great genetics, and put him in contact with Jones. This conversation would transform Mike's entire approach to training. Mentzer recounted how, prior to meeting Jones, he was training up to 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, making little meaningful progress. He had reached a point where he was about to forsake his bodybuilding goals, unable to justify spending 4 hours a day in the gym when he was already working 12 hours a day in the Air Force, working a part-time job, and trying to see his girlfriend. Then, during a lengthy phone conversation, Arthur Jones explained the theory of high-intensity training, emphasizing that to be productive, exercise had to be intense, brief, and infrequent. Mike recognized almost immediately that it was true, realizing he knew almost literally nothing of value about the subject of exercise. Jones emphasized perfectly strict form, slow and controlled movements, working muscles to complete failure, and avoiding overtraining. Viator's fantastic results under Jones convinced Mentzer. He began his own rigorous study, applying logic and scientific principles to Jones's concepts, even concluding that Jones wasn't fully applying his own theories, leading Mike to investigate a more complete application. Despite his renewed passion, Mentzer's early ambition was sidetracked. A severe shoulder injury and increasing responsibilities in the Air Force rendered him virtually inactive from bodybuilding until 1974. He fell out of shape, feeling depressed, fueled by the fear of turning 50 and regretting not pursuing his full potential. This fear reignited his enthusiasm. He left the Air Force, enrolled in the University of Maryland with his psychiatrist goal in mind, and returned to the gym in late 1974. To get back into action, he entered the Junior Mr. America, weighing 190 pounds, and took first place, signaling his return. By 1975, he arrived at the Mr. America in LA, staged by Franco Columbu, weighing a hard and cut 195 pounds. Confident he would win, that confidence was dissipated in one swift stroke as soon as he saw Robbie Robinson strip off backstage. He finished third behind Robinson and Roger Callard, yet this contest was pivotal. He met Joe Weider. Weider whisked the 23-year-old away for a photo and interview, leading to Mike gracing the cover of Muscle Builder and Power. He then penned a series of training articles, explaining his radical approach, how he trained only 3 times a week, doing just 3 to 5 sets per body part. This caused a minor sensation among bodybuilders accustomed to marathon sessions. Mike famously stated that while most bodybuilders trained at least 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, he only trained a total of 3 hours a week, but very hard. Impressed, Weider invited Mike to come out to California to work with him at Muscle Builder and Power. Mike initially declined due to his college studies, but the following year, true to his 1965 prediction, albeit 4 years behind schedule, Mike was crowned the 1976 Mr. America. This, he said, was his most satisfying win. He recalled telling someone before the contest that he would be awake, staring at the ceiling as if it were a movie screen, seeing himself getting the trophy. The feeling was unbelievable, and he had to fight back tears when he won. He stated that no other contest, including the 78 Universe, which he won with the first and only perfect score, came close to it. It was almost anticlimactic after the America. By 1977, things started to get tough for Mike. Studying up to 12 hours a day while also working out started to take a toll, compounded by his worsening financial situation. Tired of being broke and growing disillusioned about becoming a psychiatrist, Mike decided to drop out. He called Joe Weider, whose invitation to California was still open. Mike landed in Los Angeles via Vancouver, where he had just won the Mr. North America contest. He was appointed associate editor at Muscle Builder and Power, and within a couple of months, launched his mail-order heavy-duty courses, marketed under the heavy-duty banner, which sold in phenomenal numbers. Despite his relocation and burgeoning business interests, Mike still entered the 1977 Mr. Universe contest in France, finishing second in the heavyweight class to Cal Scalak. He did, however, score a perfect 300 in the prejudging, a score controversially disregarded in the final placement, which was judged on a placement system. Mike knew this was the wake-up call. If he didn't get his act together and win the Universe in '78, he could kiss his bodybuilding career goodbye. Feeling he'd not done himself justice in France, Mike went all out. At the 1978 Mr. Universe, staged in Acapulco, Mexico, weighing 215 pounds, Mike Mentzer secured the title with a score of 300, the first perfect score recorded in IFBB history. He was still 4 years behind his self-imposed schedule from 1965, but he was now a professional, and the professional scene was about to enter a new, more lucrative era. 3 months after his Universe win, Mike made a victorious start to his pro career, winning the Southern Professional Cup in Florida. He followed this with a second place at the Pittsburgh Pro Invitational behind Robbie Robinson, and a third behind Robinson and Danny Padilla at New York's Night of Champions. But by early summer 1979, bodybuilding wasn't Mike's top priority. The night before the Night of Champions, he'd received bad news about his terminally ill mother. 2 weeks later, she passed away. Devastated, Mike stopped training for 6 weeks, ate all the wrong things, and gained so much weight he barely looked like a bodybuilder. 4 months from the 1979 Mr. Olympia, Mike knew he had no choice but to pull himself together. The 1979 Mr. Olympia was a duel of physique types, but more than that, it was also a clash of philosophies and generations, pitting the 37-year-old two-time reigning champion Frank Zane against the 27-year-old upstart rookie sensation. Zane was favored, but the competition was stiff. Until 1980, the Mr. Olympia had 2 classes, over and under 200 pounds, with the winners competing for the overall. After prejudging, future head judge Jim Mannion said if Mentzer didn't win, it would be a crime. Mike went on to emerge as the heavyweight winner with a perfect 300 score, but ultimately lost the overall to Frank Zane, who was awarded his 3rd consecutive and last title that night. Many still contend Mike should have won, believing the judges wanted to end the lightweight era then and there, and give bodybuilding's ultimate title to someone who had built a bigger body. By the late 1970s, Mike had forged a physique that broke new ground in muscle density and ruggedness. The rock-hard musculature displayed symmetrically throughout his frame really did give the impression of unlimited power. A 1979 Muscle Builder and Power cover, portraying Mike as the reincarnation of Hercules, precisely captured his bodybuilding persona. The same magazine served as the ultimate showcase of his unique, high-intensity training methods. His writing and ideas amassed a huge, loyal following, and as the 1980s loomed, it seemed possible Mike's popularity could eventually outstrip that of the great Arnold Schwarzenegger. This was during Arnold's pre-Hollywood superstar days, and many felt that Mike's growing prestige, combined with his training beliefs that went against Arnold's 20 sets per body part regimen, was the catalyst that drove the Austrian to seemingly dislike the young upstart. Mike was known for his direct critiques, once saying that if one were to go back through Arnold's and his peers' training careers and calculate the bulk of wasted hours, they would scratch their head and ask if they had anything better to do. A source recounts that Arnold didn't like Mike because Mike was not revering Arnold's training advice as sacred scripture, but rather questioning everything, including what Arnold said. This did not play well with Arnold and his group. An anecdote from the 1976 Mr. America has every judge giving Mike first place, except Arnold, who gave his training partner Roger Callard the top spot. The rookie juggernaut was poised to become the bodybuilder of the 80s, and with many witnesses unconvinced that Zane had actually beaten him in 1979, Mike was installed as the favorite for the 1980 Olympia. Going back to his 1965 predictions, Mike had predicted that the Mr. Olympia title would be his in 1976. And with his Mr. America and Mr. Universe wins being achieved 4 years behind schedule, a coincidence was lent to 1980 being Mike's Olympia winning year. But little did he know it would be the end of his bodybuilding career and the beginning of his downfall. Digesting his 1979 loss, Mike planned to leave no stone unturned in his onslaught for the 1980 Olympia crown. "If they want more definition, I'll give them more definition," he said. Mentally, he went into a different gear, willing to do whatever it took to win the contest, and it led him onto a dark path. He started dieting in February for the October contest, as opposed to dieting 12 weeks out as he previously did. He was consumed 24 hours a day by the thought, "What can I do today in terms of training, diet, aerobics, and motivation to improve myself?" He even started taking amphetamines, not to get high, but as ergogenic aids to facilitate his hectic lifestyle, liking being a productive genius, as he put it. Mike didn't think there was anything wrong with his amphetamine use, even comparing it to how people consume stimulants like coffee. He famously stated his belief that drugs should be legalized, strongly believing in the notion of being a free, independent individual who should be able to take anything into his body, even if it kills him, asserting it was his business and the government had no place sticking its nose into private affairs. But soon enough, he would have to deal with the consequences. He went to the point where, in his own words, he was on death's door, so fatigued he couldn't even raise his arms and had to stay in bed for the rest of the day before going back to normal the next morning. But to him, it was all worth it. Or was it? Then came the shockwave that reverberated through the bodybuilding world, Arnold Schwarzenegger's comeback. From 1970 to 1975, Arnold had won 6 Mr. Olympia titles before retiring to focus on his burgeoning movie career. Everyone thought he'd moved on from bodybuilding. So 2 weeks before the 1980 Mr. Olympia contest, Arnold shocked fans and competitors when he announced that he was making a comeback. Mike had seen Arnold every day in the gym looking better and better, and started wondering if something was up. He noted Arnold wasn't getting in that kind of shape just for a movie. He knew there was something going on. And when Arnold showed up on the plane to the contest, it confirmed his suspicions. That moment marked the beginning of the most controversial competition in IFBB history. Reactions to Arnold's comeback were mixed. While Mike was furious, other competitors like Frank Zane and Boyer Coe expressed pity that Arnold was going to return, lose, and tarnish his legacy. 2 days before the contest, Mike had that same death's door feeling, which again confined him to bed for a whole day. But he was able to recover, and by the morning of the contest, he was 225 pounds and more cut than he'd ever been. He later cited the condition he attained for the 1980 Olympia as his proudest moment as a professional bodybuilder. Having started dieting in February for the October-November contest and applying himself longer than ever, he truly reached a peak of condition, with his muscle quality being the best ever. He estimated his body fat level at around 3% a month before the show, dropping a few more pounds by contest day. On the contrary, many were shocked at Arnold's conditioning. The Austrian oak failed to compare to the new generation of stars. Although his chest, back, and biceps were back to their former glories, his legs, triceps, and midsection all lagged in definition and size. Some put him at 90% of his former glory, and some at 80%. But the general consensus among fans and competitors was that Arnold was no longer a threat. Joe Weider reportedly told Mike later that Arnold was on cocaine that day, and looking at some photographs, Mike believed he had an unusually stressed look on his face, with prominent veins on his forehead. Despite his peak condition, Mike Mentzer placed 4th in a tie with Boyer Coe, behind Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chris Dickerson, and Frank Zane. This decision remains one of the most hotly debated in bodybuilding history. At the age of 29, Mentzer retired from competitive bodybuilding after the 1980 Mr. Olympia. He maintained that the contest results were predetermined in favor of Schwarzenegger, an opinion he held throughout his life. While Mentzer never claimed he should have won, he firmly believed Schwarzenegger should not have. Nevertheless, the two eventually developed an amicable relationship. Mentzer's retirement from competition marked a new chapter, the full articulation and promotion of his revolutionary bodybuilding philosophy, heavy duty. Influenced by Arthur Jones, Mentzer was an objectivist and insisted that philosophy and bodybuilding are intertwined, stating that man is an indivisible entity, an integrated unit of mind and body. His books, therefore, equally concern themselves with both. Mentzer's theories aim to help drug-free individuals achieve their full genetic potential in the shortest amount of time. His final work, High-Intensity Training the Mike Mentzer Way, detailed the principles. Weight training had to be brief, infrequent, and intensely applied to attain the best results. Heavy Duty 2 further espoused critical thinking, encouraging readers to apply reason to all aspects of life, not just the gym, emphasizing that bodybuilding was only one potential component of an individual's existence, encouraging many other worthwhile pursuits. His heavy-duty system emphasized pushing sets beyond failure with techniques like forced reps, negative reps, and static holds. According to Mentzer, biologists and physiologists since the 19th century have known that hypertrophy is directly related to intensity, not duration of effort. Most bodybuilding and weightlifting authorities, he believed, did not take into account the severe nature of the stress imposed by heavy, strenuous resistance exercise carried to the point of positive muscular failure. For more than 10 years, Mentzer's heavy-duty program involved 7 to 9 sets per workout on a 3-day-per-week schedule. But with the advent of more massive bodybuilders in the 1990s, he refined it further to even fewer working sets and more rest, sometimes calling for 4 to 7 days of recovery before the next workout. His first breakthrough became known as the ideal principled routine, a fantastic step in minimal training where fewer than 5 working sets were performed each session. His approach to diet was equally iconoclastic. In heavy-duty nutrition, Mentzer argued against the extreme dietary protocols of the bodybuilding industry. His recommended diets were well-balanced, emphasizing all 4 food groups, totaling 4 servings each of high-quality grains and fruits, and 2 each of dairy and protein daily, all year round. Crucially, Mentzer believed carbohydrates should make up the bulk of caloric intake, 50–60%, rather than protein, a radical stance at the time. His simple reasoning? To build 10 pounds of muscle in a year, a total of 6,000 extra calories needed to be ingested throughout the year, because 1 pound of muscle contains 600 calories. That averages 16 extra calories per day, and only 4 of those needed to be from protein, because muscle is 22% protein, about 1/4. Mentzer's training courses, sold through bodybuilding magazines, became immensely popular after his 1978 Mr. Universe win, which garnered significant attention due to his perfect 300 score. He gained further attention when he introduced Dorian Yates to high-intensity training in the early 90s. Yates would go on to win the Mr. Olympia 6 consecutive times, from 1992 to 1997, consistently crediting Mike's heavy-duty principles for his success. In the late 1980s, Mentzer returned to training bodybuilders and writing for Ironman magazine, spending much of the 1990s regaining his stature. The success of Dorian Yates amplified Mike's influence. In 1994, Mike, his brother Ray, and Dorian formed a clothing company, MYM, Mentzer Yates Mentzer, also known as Heavy Duty Inc. The trio sought to capitalize on the physically fit lifestyle, manufacturing and distributing their own line of sportswear with the blessing and promotion of Joe Weider. But the story of the Mentzer brothers was destined for a tragic end. On June 10, 2001, Mike Mentzer was found dead in his apartment in Rolling Hills, California, due to heart complications. He was discovered by his younger brother and fellow bodybuilder, Raymond "Harry" Mentzer. Just 2 days later, Ray himself died from complications of Berger's disease. The sudden successive deaths of the brothers, seemingly at the peak of their renewed influence, sent shockwaves through the bodybuilding world, a heartbreaking twist to their intertwined lives of ambition and struggle. In 2002, Mike Mentzer was posthumously inducted into the IFBB Hall of Fame, a recognition of his profound and lasting impact. Mike Mentzer was indeed a bodybuilding genius, one of the sport's most prominent and inspirational characters. He was controversial, enigmatic, and unafraid to challenge the status quo. His perfect 300 score, his revolutionary heavy-duty training system, and his unyielding intellectual approach continue to resonate with bodybuilders decades after his passing. His life was a testament to dedication, a journey marked by both triumph and profound tragedy, but ultimately one of redemption. He showed that true strength isn't just in the muscle, but in the mind, in the unwavering pursuit of truth, and in the courage to walk your own path, no matter how controversial. Mike Mentzer's legacy reminds us that sometimes the most profound changes come not from conformity, but from the relentless, uncompromising vision of a singular, brilliant mind.